please welcome Peter Holm from Johannesburg, South Africa.
Good evening, folks. It's really a privilege to be here, and I feel so lucky and blessed to be an exchange student that was actually allocated to Washburn. I mean, just imagine what a poor year it would have been if they'd sent me to Southwest. The topic that I have this evening is, what did Washburn actually mean to me? And I think to explain that, I need to go back and just provide a bit of context. Where did I come from? What was my school experience in South Africa like? So I went to what we would call a smallish school, and in the senior year there were 40 students, 40. So imagine getting to Washburn, first day at Washburn, 700 seniors, I think there were, somewhere around that. And the other thing I didn't tell you was that the school that I went to was an all-boys school. So I was actually overwhelmed. I thought these must be some of the most beautiful girls that I've ever seen before. So, well done, Millers. Any girls from 69 here? I'm looking for pen pals. So, yeah, I'm going to jump straight to some sport, although Dave's stolen a bit of my thunder there, I'm afraid, because sport was really quite central to my school experience. I was happy enough with the academics, but the extramural, the sports, is really what I thought school was all about. I must tell you that having played rugby before, and rugby was compulsory at our school, every single child, every student, going right down through the grades had to play. So I thought I was okay at that, but the first game that we had against another school, I was lined up against a guy maybe 15 pounds heavier than I was, but he had a bit of a paunch. And I thought, no, it's not going to be much of a problem. I think they put me in a position called defensive end. And they said, yeah, you've got to kind of hit your shoulder on the guy opposite you, and then you can run around and sack the quarterback. And I quite liked the idea of sacking a quarterback, and I thought I could get there quite quickly. Little knowing that I got a full frontal charge right at me, and I was flat on my back and literally seeing stars. So, bit of a similar experience to the previous speaker. It wasn't quite as easy as I thought it would be. Going into the winter, as Dave mentioned, I was the hockey manager, and that was a lot of fun. Traveling all over the place, a very successful hockey team, great team spirit. And I must say what I really enjoyed was Mr. Carlson's pep talks. I'd never heard anything quite as intense as that. Finally going into spring, it was time for tennis, and at last it was a sport that I had played before. Dave and myself played first doubles. He's lost a bit of pace since then, as you can see. And in fact, with a guy called Doug Kincaid, I'm not sure if he's here, we won the city doubles championship, beating Edina. Just a little sidebar in relation to Edina. The AFS students in the Minneapolis area had a kind of a casual pickup soccer team, and there were some guys from Europe, there was a brilliant player from Brazil that was there, and Edina had started playing soccer. So we had a game against them, and it was really quite tense and hard fought, and I think by the end we squeaked home by 8-0. In terms of the educational side of things, I also need to make a comparison. We had very much a strict disciplinarian approach in the school that I went to. Corporal punishment was still allowed. Remember, that was 56 years ago, so we're talking ancient history here. And it was what we called cuts, given with a thin bamboo cane about five foot long, and they really were something to be reckoned with. You'd have bruises on your backside for a couple of weeks afterwards. And we got cuts for really quite minor infractions as far as I was concerned, and that included for hair inspection. So they'd line up the whole school in the assembly, and if your hair was too long, you got cut. You got sent to the barber for the afternoon. So it was really, I suppose, 20, 30 years behind where Washburn was in terms of the educational approach. I found the teachers were a lot more collaborative. We'd had to memorize things by rote, a lot of it anyway. And for the last 5 years of school, we had 7 subjects, which we repeated every year. So for instance, I had 5 years of Latin, if you can believe that. Yeah, so the approach here, much more project work, class discussions, teamwork, etc. I found to be a real eye-opener to myself. There was just another much better way of actually learning. So yeah, I found the teachers as well to be very, very competent indeed. People like Mr. Cosgrove, Mr. Flugstad, Mr. Schlegel, those were some of the teachers that I had. And each one of them was very competent in what they were doing. I think they were a credit to the educational profession. A quick word on the cultural aspects without going into it in too much detail. I was thinking the other day in getting ready for the speech, what are the kind of adjectives that I would use to characterize the American culture? And funny enough, the 2 words, not funny enough, I think it's to be understood. The 2 words that came to mind were competence and confidence. And I believe that what we received at Washburn was really testament to those 2. If you went through the schooling system that you have here, the brilliant schooling system, you came out with a lot of competence, and what goes with that is confidence. I believe also maybe another aspect was the outgoing nature that the schooling system supported and developed. People were taught to get up and stand up for yourselves. Lastly, I would just like to take this opportunity to publicly thank the Arundel family. Obviously the 2 parents are dead, but they took me in for the year. The older boys there took me aside, they showed me the ropes, and then they said, "You're on your own, do your thing," which was quite fun. The eldest brother, as we called each other, Morgan, he taught me how to stand up for myself. I watched him on the hockey rink, and there was nobody going to mess with him. The next brother, Steve, taught me how to play poker. And the last brother, Dave, he taught me what your dedication and absolute discipline in terms of keeping fit and going for sports, how far that can actually take you. So certainly the year that I had at Washburn was transformative for me. And I'd like to really thank all of you folks, including the teachers and staff, for delivering that. And I hope that in return, I was able to leave some kind of a small legacy.